Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Revere School Committee. Please rise to salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo.
Here.
Mr. D'Ambrosio.
Here.
Mr. Ferranti.
Here.
Ms. Gravelisi.
Here.
Mr. Sinella. Ms. Ty.
Here.
Mayor Arrigo.
Here. We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very pleased tonight to start the superintendent's report with a presentation from a partner who's actually been a partner with Revere students for a number of years, but we have recently formalized a relationship with the Year Up program and North Shore Community College. And I want to thank Diana Finn and Tiffany Curry, who have really taken the lead in that partnership with us. Although we've had, I think it's about 100 students over the last 15 years go through the Year Up program, they were often, prior to last year and this year, doing that on their own and as a community resource. And we're very pleased this year to finally bring the program informally through our community school, which I have to thank the mayor for sponsoring that. And we have 13 current Revere High School students in grades 10 through 12 who are enrolled in a course called Technology and Applications. It's a dual enrollment course where they'll get credit at the high school and at North Shore Community College, but it's also a precursor course to the Year Up program at North Shore, which could lead to studies in liberal arts, nursing, or an open elective that the students can transfer to any other 2 or 4 year college if they choose. And we have, from Year Up, we have Michael Goldstein, who's going to give us a little bit of a preview of the program in just a minute. But I'm also pleased to let you know that we have 3 Revere alums who are actually going to speak to us about their experience with Year Up and let us know how it's been so far and what they expect as next steps. The first is going to be Ricky Murcia. Did I say that right? And Ricky is going to be a 2020 graduate. Xavier Parkman graduated in 2018, and Andrew Sullivan graduated in 2016. And so they're going to share all of their Year Up experiences. But we'll start. I'll invite Michael up to give us a little overview.
Thank you. Really honored to be here. I think I'm at risk that you're not going to pay any attention to me at all, and then I give this to you.
Just that it records. It won't record if you don't.
I'm going to. Thank you very much. At risk that is the moment that I give this to you, all you're going to do is look at the names. I'm going to give you this because it's so cool. This is the list of all of the students from Revere High and Seacoast who have gone through and graduated from the programs, including where they did their internship and where they worked. All politics is local. Year Up is so local. So I thought you'd really enjoy this. So as I'm talking about what this program is and what it has meant for students now nationwide, you can get to see, oh, I had this person in math class. And so that's really one of the fun parts. So hello, my name is Michael Goldstein, and I work for Year Up. And Year Up is a program that started in Boston in the year 2000 with 22 students and now has over 5,000 students in 31 cities. The 31st city is Lynn. And that did not exist when I first had a chance to meet with the mayor and with the superintendent about 7 or 8 months ago. It just started. And so we're about to have our very first class in our new Lynn campus at North Shore Community College in 2 weeks. That's when we're going to have about 30 of our first pioneer students. But the program, generally speaking, is a workforce development and higher education program that is about 1,700-hour commitment on the part of the students. So you guys lived it. I don't know if you counted hour by hour, but it's 1,700 hours that you guys put into this program over the course of a year, which is why it's called Year Up. And they go essentially from jobs that are outside the economic mainstream into careers where they are really building for themselves and for their families. And that is really what it's all about. You're going to hear the stories of Revere High School grads, but mostly we're here because we feel like we're really in alignment with the city of Revere. The city of Revere is recognizing that this is a completely different world with new types of jobs, new types of opportunities, and that the school system has a real chance to really shape the futures of the people who live in this city. The dream that I heard the mayor say is, wouldn't it be great if a young person could come out of Revere High and work in her city, in some of the hottest fields out there. And they don't have to go to Boston, they don't have to go to Cambridge, they can stay in Revere. And it's not a crazy dream. You just need the jobs, but you also need the skill set. And so that's where we come in. And we've been very fortunate that for 20 years we have proven that young people who come from cities like Revere and Chelsea and Lynn have the talent to succeed at the best companies in the world. The best companies in the world. They have the talent. What they don't have is they don't have the network. They don't have that uncle who can get them the job. Or they may not have, from when they were kids, this desire to go into work at Mintz. What's Mintz? It sounds like a food. Who knew that it's one of the top law firms in the world, right? Why would you know this? And so what we do is, over the course of the year, give them opportunities to prove what they can do. And they do it. We have really high expectations for them. And they exceed those expectations while they're in the classroom for 6 months and then on an internship for 6 more months. And you can see the list of the internships. It's no joke. These are some really amazing places. So before I really turn it over to the stars, who are the 3 alumni who graduated from the program, just one parting thought, and that is, please consider us partners. You are building a new Revere, and we are really honored to be here, and we're honored to be so close. We're about 2.5 miles away now, being at North Shore Community College. And so really think of us as you're thinking about workforce development. Think of us as you're thinking about the next set of skills and what the generations are going to need in order to be successful in the careers to come. And we're really happy to be your allies. All right, let me turn it over. Ricky, you ready? And as he's coming to the stage, I'm going to give you guys just some facts and data. Year up, we love ourselves our facts and data. One neat thing about our program, for example, is we charge each company $26,000 to be an internship partner with us, which allows us to pay our students to go to school and allows us to provide all the support that we need for them to succeed. But to do that, we are extremely data-driven. We run ourselves, even though we're a nonprofit, we run ourselves like a business.
Hello, thank you for having us. My name is Ricky Murcia. I graduated here at Revere High back in 2013. I did not start Europe until January of 2019, and I just recently graduated last week of January 2020. And the same, I would have never expected the journey that I had before or after RHS. After RHS, I was seeking higher education, so definitely let's go to college. And I was looking at different options as to what I wanted to get to, but ultimately I realized that it's just a little too expensive for me. I don't want to take the loans out to put my parents in that bigger hole that they would be getting themselves into, and I myself wasn't too sure if this is really what I want to get into. So I started working right after high school, and I kept on doing that, telling myself I'm going to go back to school eventually. But unfortunately, after a few years, I just found myself using part-time jobs and not making enough money and trying to pay bills and things like that, and it just wasn't enough. So I actually had a pretty good gig before I started Europe. I was a bartender at a private lounge making quite significant money. But after some time of late nights and not so happy people, I realized that it's time for change. So after talking to a few friends that were in the same predicament as me, that they were in restaurants, retail, store managers, whatever the case may be, they all were in the same situation as me, that they wanted more. And after a year or two of not seeing them, I would bump into them, well-dressed, they're going to work and everything. I'd be like, what happened? What did you do? And they all said the same thing, year up. And so after some time, I started looking into it. Seemed too good to be true. Nothing for us, the alumni that have done it, or enrolling students, no cost to them. It's just the effort that you put into it. They provide you with everything that you need to get into the workforce, the education, the material, the mannerisms, how to write a resume, how to have an interview. These are things that students coming out of RHS or any high school in all do not know. And in the 6 months that you're learning your material, and the following 6 months that you're learning, using the material that you have learned at your internship to a full degree and an actual respected company in Boston or whatever major city you are going into, you start to see that the devotion, the time and effort that you put into it really does pay off. In my internship, I went into a place that I felt very unprepared, but that was my own personal bubble that I put myself into. But after some time, I started branching out, asking questions, getting more involved into this. And even though I was at one law firm, Wilmer Hale, I had very limited access to a lot of very sensitive material, whether it be ongoing cases, private security stuff that, way above my pay grade. I still was able to do and make significant growth and changes to that team and myself in the 6 months that I was there. And the last week of my internship, just by pure luck, I ended up having an interview with Sullivan, another law firm in Boston. And I went in there prior to having a phone interview that I crashed and burned. Couldn't even get past the first question. After, talking for like about 20 minutes, the person that was giving me the interview said, you know what, I'm going to cut it short. I think you need to go back to school. And, dawned on me that, you know what, maybe I'm not ready. But when I got the chance for another interview, sucked it up, and I went in there. And halfway into the interview, I had a great feeling that I was going to have this job. And lo and behold, 4 hours after that interview, I'm at Wilmer Hale, my last day, taking care of the last few tickets that I have. I get an offer for them. 4 hours later, for a contract position for full-time, just as like a trial period, with way more than what I asked for, and to go from a person that was working part-time job to going from one very respected law firm to an even more respected law firm, it's quite hard to say how you did it. And I have everything to put it on Europe. They're the reason I'm here. They're the reason why a year from now I would have never seen myself in this position. And I know that I am grateful for them. I know a lot of people in this room are grateful for them. But everyone in this program here, there, wherever, they have made significant change that has bettered them for the future. And I do believe that this is a great opportunity for kids coming out of high school. They're not too sure what they want to get into, and a great opportunity for them to grow and prepare for success in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Has this room always been here?
It has.
I've never seen it before, let alone.
What year did you graduate the high school?
I graduated 2013.
Oh, yeah, this room was here.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is Xavier Parkman. My friends know me as Zach. It's nice to meet all of you, especially the guy I voted for twice. Hi.
Thank you.
Where to start? I graduated in 2013. I was never really much of a student, I'm going to be honest. I was a class clown, a pretty good one. I'm not going to toot my own horn. But I kind of just, I lived in a single mother household, so I grew up with this kind of guilt. I never really wanted to put her in more of a hole than I kind of already was with my brother and my sister. I got a younger sister and an older autistic brother, and she's worked very hard to put a roof over our heads. So you have all these people telling you, you gotta go to college, you gotta go to college, you gotta go to college. I'm like, do I gotta put my mother in debt? So I decided to just save up the money by myself by working retail jobs. And one of my favorite Greek stories is the story of Sisyphus, a man who was cursed by the gods to roll a rock up a hill and watch it fall back down at the end of the day. And that's pretty much what my existence was, just working retail, trying to save up, but I'm bad at saving. So I, but Revere's always been a Europe factory, low key. Well, how I learned about Europe was I had a bunch of upperclassmen who were doing the IT field, and I also had a cousin who did finance, and they were telling me of all the benefits. They pay you a stipend every 2 weeks. They give you all this training for free. They give you an internship, and I thought, wow, that's got to be a cult. There's no way. And it took me around 3 years. I went from BJ's Wholesale to Whole Foods, the juice bar. Got a ton of smoothie recipes from that. I'm thankful for that. But it took me 3 years and a couple of heartbreaks to realize, I've got nothing better going on. So I tried Europe. I did an info session at Roxbury Community College, and I was like, wow, this seems pretty legit. So I signed up for an interview at the Milk Street location, and one of the best interviews I ever had, which I needed because I had bombed an interview at Simply Safe right before that. I'm not going to go into too many details, but I name dropped that I'm kind of like Kanye West, and instead of ambitious and goal-getting, they took arrogant and brash. So I signed up for the investment operations field because I wanted to learn to be good with money because that's the root of all evil. So learning how to master it is mastering the world around you. And my experience there was just great. Old habits die hard. I was a class clown there. I made a lot of friends. Europe works on a point system, so you lose points based on such clownery. But my grades were really good, and that got me through to my internship phase at JP Morgan over in the Seaport. And wow, I had never been, my first day, I was so scared. Like, I'd never been in an environment like that. I'd never worked in cubicles. I'd only seen movies about it, and they seemed very depressing. So after the first day, I realized, hey, everyone here's with me. So I had a great team. I worked in the Treasury Department. They helped me day in, day out, helped me learn the ropes. And it was a great period of my life, and I look back on it fondly. Afterwards, it took me a bit to get a position, not gonna lie. I think my first job was Partners Healthcare. Partners Healthcare over in Somerville. Leaning more towards the data entry field. And now I'm currently at Amwell, which is a telecommunications company which helps connect patients to providers over the phone or video. My time in Europe, how do I end this? Sorry, I didn't practice. I knew I was going to wing it. I only practiced with Mike on the phone yesterday. But Europe, I look on the year I spent there fondly. Now I really should have wrote this down. Thank you. I think you're making a great decision deciding to work directly with Europe. I feel many kids my age are gonna the age I was, which is 18 to 24, right? 18 to 24 could benefit from this program because I was just aimless after high school, and Europe gave me a path, and hopefully it can help many others in this town.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Sullivan. I graduated actually from here in 2009. Definitely, like Xavier, was not the best of a student here. I did fail my whole second semester my sophomore year because of attendance. So I almost didn't graduate on time. So obviously with that, I wasn't really looking forward to college. I felt like school wasn't the best option. And so for the first few years after I did manage to graduate, it was tough. Xavier, I was working just part-time jobs, retail jobs, whatever I could really do for myself. And after a while, I couldn't really make ends meet, so I ended up sleeping on friends' couches, There was nights I slept in my car, and I didn't really know how to escape that reality. So I had a friend who introduced me to a football team who one of the coaches actually worked closely through Roxbury Community College. And he had mentioned what Year Up program was. And so I thought I could check it out, maybe see what it would be like to go back into school. I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me. And it was 2015 when I graduated, that 1 year that I put into Year Up. I've never been more proud of myself for anything other than that.
That's great.
The 21 or 20 weeks of L&D, it was a big learning experience, and it wasn't just about the principles of the job field and everything else going on. It was about myself. So one thing that they had taught me was fake it till you make it, and then that turned into fake it until you actually become it. And that was huge because, like I had stated, my attendance here was not the best. And at Year Up, obviously, where they pay you the stipend every 2 weeks to kind of motivate you and get you to go, you don't want to be late because they'll deduct money from you. So I was on time every day, 15 minutes early. If I'm not mistaken, we were actually the last class in Summer Street, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5 floors, that was it. We actually had building issues, and we had to go to Cambridge College all the way out by Harvard. So coming from Revere all the way out there was quite the transport in the morning.
Gosh, that is.
But it was well worth it. I ended up interning at JP Morgan Chase. After my 20 weeks was complete, I had a 3.95 GPA, something I never would have dreamed I could do. And so JP Morgan, I was in the tax department, not treasury, but we still worked with treasury, so I know how you had your stuff to do over there too. But the tax department, after the 6-month internship, did extend a contractual offer for 6 more months to bring me in for tax season. So that was fun. 7 days a week, 70 hours a week sometimes. 10-hour days, it goes by fast, I'll tell you. And, you know, unfortunately, after the 6-month contract was up, I decided that it wasn't for me anymore, and that's okay. Because not everything about Year Up is getting that internship or the job. It's about learning skills and qualities that can help you in the real world. And so that fake it till you become it really did help. I currently work for T-Mobile, and I'm actually a retail training store manager. So not only do I run the store, but I also train all of the new people that come into the local area for my stores.
That's
so
awesome.
I get to develop the young minds much like Year Up gets to. So it's a very humbling feeling to know that, you know, people that we hire are going through me to learn their job. And so if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to say that I would be where I am today. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. So before the committee gets to questions, I'm sure you have a few. I want to also acknowledge some of our other Revere High alums, and I don't have the correct paper that you just gave me on who's here, so I'm just going to say all of them that were coming. Carla Molinado, is she here? Yeah, okay. Dormarley Ortiz? No. Sebastian Mancuso? Sebastian, yeah. You have the list. Great, thank you. Andrea Restrepo? We did call out Catherine Montalvo. Hi, Catherine. Allison Santana. Yuri Landaverdi. And Brenda. Is Brenda here? And I also want to acknowledge from Seacoast High School, Maureen Lenahan and Stacy Lavodi, who really were the pioneers in getting more and more of our kids enrolled in this program before it was the formal thing that we're hoping it's going to be going forward. And so I just wanted to acknowledge everybody who's here, and I'm sure the committee, if they have any questions, can address them to any of you.
Any members have any comments or questions? Ms. Ty?
I think it's a wonderful program, and congratulations to you all. I am astounded at how much poise you have, that the 3 of you stood up there without a note and told your story from beginning to end. And so you really learned so much more than just the skill of how to do the job. you must have within you now a different kind of person. And clearly you operate in a different arena, and it's been wonderful. I would like to know how many of you still live in Revere? Great, that deserves a round of applause. We love hometown kids. It's just wonderful. It makes us all so proud. Thank you very much for your success and for sharing it with us. Thank you.
Any other members? Mrs. Rizzo.
Thank you. I did exactly what he said. I went through the list. Who do I know? And the one in the room I do remember is Mr. Sullivan. You went to Lincoln, and you graduated with my son, and I do apologize for that. But no matter what path most of these students I know took, they were wonderful individuals. I mean, you were always a sweetheart. You know, you might have fell asleep at the end, but you were always kind and generous, and that's what I see here with so many students that I know. So you got great kids. You got great ones, and they make Revere proud. Thank you.
Ms. Gravellisi.
I don't have any questions. I just want to commend all of you on all of your success. It must have been difficult just taking the first step. Like you said, you were working all these different part-time jobs, and just that first step is all it takes sometimes. And you, Mr. Sullivan, would have graduated with my daughter also in 2009, because Stacy and I's children graduated together. So,
But she was nice.
Christina was nice. But again, I just want to commend you, because it's that first step that's the most difficult. And I just wish you the best of luck and success going forward.
Any other members? Thank you for the great work. You can see, I think the committee can now see why Michael and I really hit it off when we chatted, and this program is just, it's life-changing, and it's great work. And to be able to have kids get out of their comfort level and comfort zone and create those networks that are so important as people kind of grow and become amazing individuals. Whatever we can do as a city and as a district and as a school committee to help and partner with organizations, we're always here. So thank you for the great work.
Thank you very much. School committee, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm going to make one more plug. I happen to know, because Dimple Rana sent an email today, that there are still some seats available in the program up in Lynn. So if anybody who's listening at home is interested or knows somebody who might be interested, again, the target audience for that program is ages 18 to 24 with a high school diploma.
Or, yeah, that is correct, or a GED or high set. That is correct.
That's right.
And we start our first class March 9th. That's our first day. And so we have about 30 students. We want 35. So as we can get more students, the better.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're up. Shall we celebrate? We're going to Pollo Royale.
We delayed you just
Excellent.
by
Sorry.
Sorry.
Wait, want to take a 5-minute? We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Yeah, and let's. We should grab a Okay, we're back from our 5-minute recess, and we will continue on with the superintendent's report. Dr. Kelly, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know the projector is just heating up here for a minute, but I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about our community budgeting meeting, which we had at the beginning of the month of February. I believe it was on the 4th, although the days run together now. And we had over 100 people attend, which was wonderful. We had parents, we had students, we had elected officials, we had teachers, we had administrators, we had other employees of the school department that are not teachers or administrators. And in my mind, I thought it was a very successful event. We had about 14 teams of 8 or 9. The team sizes varied a little bit. And everybody spent some time talking about what they thought the district should be focused on in the coming years in terms of our work to improve and provide the highest quality education for the children of Revere. And then with that in mind, after we spent some time talking about what our focal areas should be, we talked about how we could use the increased funding that we're going to have from the Student Opportunity Act to start to move in the direction of those changes. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes tonight highlighting some of the key pieces, and this information was shared already with the committee and with all of the folks who attended that visioning session. We still have more stakeholder groups to work with in this regard. We're going to be meeting with the Revere Educators Leadership Board at the end of this week, and we'll be talking to the cabinet members, which is principals, directors, and of course assistant principals at our monthly meeting. But we are really trying to make an effort to engage the voices of all different groups. We've talked to Dr. Perella about doing some survey of students at the high school to make sure we capture more student voices. And Mr. Kingston did give his AP students an assignment to write essays about what this funding should be spent on. So I've been enjoying reading those and learning from the students what their priorities are. But we'll definitely be doing more work around surveys with high school and middle school students especially to make sure that we're capturing what they perceive as the best path forward for themselves. So just to highlight a few, if we look at the board here, and the pieces that folks thought we should work on really fell into 3 broad categories. The first is meeting the needs of all students. And this was a title that was suggested by one of the groups at the community meeting. You might recall that in our old 5-year plan, we had a goal of teaching all students. And somebody said we shouldn't be focused so much on teaching because there's so much more to it than that. We should be meeting the needs of all students. So we made that adjustment, and a key piece here was to focus on teaching practices, especially student-centered, deeper learning, problem-solving, engaging work, making sure the teaching is effective. And somebody wrote along the lines of the work we're doing with the MCIEA, which has been shared with this group extensively. There were also a number of groups that wanted to make sure that we're working on real-world transferable skills, and they talked about financial literacy, technology education, and vocational education. There is rightfully, folks are looking for a bit more focus on performing arts and making sure that students, particularly at the high school level, have some choice in their electives and really have a diverse set of courses that they can choose from. And part of that ran into the idea of after-school programs that represent a diversity of different topics and areas that students might want to focus on. In the next grouping, we had others like academic interventions, work with our English language learner students, including a newcomers program, and more support for special needs students as well. The second major category was building community. And this is a carryover topic from our last 5-year plan. Everybody agrees that we still need to do work on this in this area. And some of the key pieces were engaging diverse parent and student voice in determining beyond the school day programs, including before school, after school, and summer programming. And more translators at all of our schools so that families feel like they can communicate effectively with the school department. There are some other items there as well. And then the third category that was heavily mentioned is, of course, social emotional learning. And key points here were increasing the support staff, including social workers, expanding the school-based health center, more behavior analysts, school psychologists, folks in those roles. Another piece was smaller class size and caseloads, and mental and behavioral health services and programming and instruction for students and for adults. There were some other categories that were mentioned that didn't quite fit into these three, but we felt like maybe moving in a direction of school and district improvement plans that focused on those three big areas, broad areas, would really meet the needs of many more of our constituents, since so many people mentioned those other activities. And that led us into the discussion about the budget, and we shared with folks that when we account for level services that we had in this school year, so if we brought back every staff member and we kept every program, and our electric bills increased at the same rate that they have been over years, and the same with our heating. So if we kept all things constant, the budget from last year to next year, we actually will have a little over $5 million, maybe even $5.5 million, that we have to say, here's new money that we need to figure out how we want to spend and how best to spend this money to meet the needs of the most kids and the most families and the most teachers and the most schools. And so that's what we're endeavoring to do now. And Ms. Tai said it's a happy problem, and you're right, it is a happy problem. It's a happy problem I've never had since I've been in this chair. So the big areas that those ideas fell into, and again, the number in parentheses represents how many times these ideas were mentioned. The first big category was increasing staff. There were a total of 42 mentions across the 14 groups about increasing staff. And most commonly mentioned was social workers and behavior analysts, followed by special ed, elective, intervention, speech, and OT teachers, then translators and parent liaisons, and then newcomer teachers, et cetera, et cetera. The second big category was materials and programs for a total of 26 mentions. And folks mentioned more one-to-one programs in technology. Of course, we have the one-to-one program at the high school, but we do not have that throughout at any of our other schools. We do have, let me correct that, Garfield Middle School does. And we have some in our 5th grade, but we don't have it throughout schools, so expanding that program. And then the second most popular one was increasing the clubs and activities, including financial literacy, resume writing, college applications, educational technology, arts, and enrichment. After that was folks are looking for experiential learning, more field trips, more outdoors classes, more internships, and more vocational technical. And then there were a few others mentioned there as well. And the third big category, which was mentioned 15 times, is professional development for district employees. And that included, most frequently mentioned, was training for paraprofessionals. And I will say that we do not have a well-developed, comprehensive professional development program for our paraprofessionals, so that is definitely something that we are in need of. And then there were requests for more, to expand the colleague-to-colleague program, to include more consulting teachers, and to expand the math and literacy coaches program. I think that one's primarily from the high school folks where they don't have a math coach. All of the other schools do have a math coach, so I think that's where that stems from. So we're going to continue to do work in these areas, and as I mentioned, we're still going to work with our other constituent groups like the administrators group and the Revere Educators Leadership Board, and continue to take in feedback as we develop the budget over the next coming months, and we will bring those proposals and ideas before this committee at interim paces before it's time for you all to vote the budget. You're welcome.
Any members have any questions or comments?
All right. The next item on the superintendent's report is the financial literacy grant, and Dr. Mokaba is actually going to speak to this. She worked to develop the grant proposal. The award is a total of $10,718, and I'll pass it to Dr. Mokaba to talk about that.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. The grant was actually written by Dr. Porter and Matt Costa. the Director of STEM and Director of Humanities. And interestingly, I just want to highlight the connection between this financial literacy and planning implementation grant and some of the information that the Community Budget Forum cited. Everybody agrees that this is an important connection that we need to make for our students. They received the grant of, as Dr. Kelly said, $10,718. The purpose is that the goal is that they're going to design a financial literacy course that high school students would take either their junior or senior year. In addition, they're going to develop and plan enrichment activities that stimulate authentic learning experiences related to financial literacy, personal financial literacy outside of the classroom. The combination of math and the high school civics project that has to happen is something that the team of several math teachers, Julianne Falzerano, Mr. Joe Ciccarello, there'll be 2 teachers on the team working with several history teachers to develop some project-based learning components to this that will dovetail nicely in with the high school civics project and some of the other financial electives that we currently run, an economics elective and Julianne's financial literacy course. The thing is that the course will be designed around the 2018 History and Social Science curriculum framework, as well as the Chapter 428 of the Acts of 2018, as it applies to personal financial literacy. And they'll begin this work this spring.
Any members have any questions? Ms. Gravellisi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You said they would be starting this spring, putting it together. Any idea, like, when they might be able to implement it into the classroom? Like, probably, obviously not this coming school year, but the following?
The hope, they're going to begin the work to be, some of the course alignment would be developed by the end of this year. I don't know when it would be implemented as a requirement for all students to take before they graduate. But that is the goal, develop the authentic activities, align the curriculum, and submit a proposal to Dr. Perella for including it in the program of studies.
Thank you.
Mr. Ferranti. Ms. Ferranti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Danielle, a couple of questions. Is this the first time we've applied for this grant? Is it going to be an ongoing grant? And that's it right now. I thought with them, I can't remember.
So this is a new opportunity that Dr. Porter and Mr. Costa took on jointly. So it is a planning and implementation grant. So our goal is that we use this money to stipend the teachers, to garner the supplies that align with these project-based activities, and make the connections that we need so that we can get this up and running and it's self-sustaining.
So it will be a yearly grant or just one-time shot? Okay, thank you.
I'll just add, it is a one-time shot grant, but the bulk of the work that's intended to be done through the grant will be lifelong, because once things are planned, there'll be minimal cost associated with refining the activities as we go down, as they're implemented and teachers refine them. That will not be the same kind of heavy lifting that occurs when a team of teachers has to sit down and find exactly which standards they're aligning each of the activities to, and actually building out the lesson plan and the prompts and all of the pieces that go with that for students.
Good luck.
Thank you. Does your hand up?
Mrs. Rizzo.
Just wondering, Speaker DeLeo had spoke about the program that the high school students were starting. Is any of it similar? Or maybe after the year ends with the grant, if it could be combined?
The program that we are working, so one of the reasons why this grant was available this year, which hadn't been in previous years, is because of the state's initiative around financial literacy. But as the committee knows, Speaker DeLeo is engaged in another program with Revere High School around civics. And we've had a number of field trips. I think we've sent over 200 kids already to the State House to spend a day at the State House and learned about the civic process. They've been able to do mock hearings. And from what I've heard, the program is incredibly successful, and the kids are really enjoying learning more about local government and all of the different aspects and work that goes into those pieces. We could have them come to a later meeting and give a presentation. Is that good? Yeah, okay. The next item on the superintendent's report is just a very brief update on our process with the Massachusetts School Building Authority around a new Revere High School. As the mayor could tell you, last night he presented to the city council the idea of going forward with a bond bill to fund the feasibility study. As is required by the city statute, he's required to notify the council of his intent to make that request at a future meeting and then advertise it for 10 days in a local newspaper, which I understand is happening right now.
It is.
And the city council will then actually be voting on the $2 million bond bill at their March 16th meeting. So I will be attending that meeting. Should there be any questions about how this works, but this is a piece of the process that we have talked about frequently throughout our process, where, as this is highlighted in yellow on the board, we are entering the feasibility study. And the $2 million that the city council, we hope, will vote for on March 16th would pay for that feasibility, which would allow us to work with the MSBA to move further down the road of identifying where the school might be located, what size the school needs to be, what programming we want to include, so that then design process can begin. And you can see schematic design actually overlaps with feasibility, and the $2 million is intended to cover those two periods, with the hope that we would move into schematic design around September of next year. And so I just wanted to give the update that we are in progress there. The committee doesn't need to take a vote at this time, but I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that we in the mayor's office and the city council are working to forward the progress.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Any questions or comments? No? Ms. Tai?
Well, it's hard to contain my enthusiasm. I mean, I just want to stand up and cheer. So, thank you. Thank you to the council. We have always, through the previous school building projects, we have always been in partnership with the mayor and with the city council, and it's Revere pride coming up again.
Yeah.
So, I can't stop smiling. Thank you.
That's very good. And Mr. Mayor, there is one thing that is not on the superintendent's report that I'd just like to mention briefly, and that is we're moving into the spring, which is our least favorite season, primarily because of the lottery. And that middle school lottery process is coming upon us. Students, fifth grade students are currently touring middle schools, and I just wanted to remind parents that they're invited to attend those tours with their students, and if anybody needs any information on that, they should reach out to their elementary school, to their child's school. And those tours are happening this week and next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Ms. Francis, did you have?
Yes, one question for Dr. Kelly. Dr. Kelly, it looks like to me that it's being, the study and the design is overlapping. And wouldn't the study have to be complete before you go to design, or it just sort of works hand in hand?
They do work hand in hand because so with the feasibility, you're looking at questions about can the city afford this? Where would it go? What additional costs would be involved? And in schematic design, you're looking at what size should this building be? How many kids should it hold? And that weighs into feasibility because we might pick a particular piece of land that's not appropriate for the size that the building needs to be. So they really do overlap quite a bit.
Thank you.
Any other members? No? We'll move on to our student representative report. Olea?
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off by first discussing something light. The high school's spring sports are starting soon, so that includes tennis, softball, track and field, many more. A lot of high schoolers are involved in sports, and so we're all looking forward to that. The student councils have also been focusing a lot on fundraising recently, especially the senior class is also working on planning for the Mr. RHS and RHS Talent Show, which are annual events that the senior class fundraises for and runs. Also, the yearbooks are now for sale, so seniors are also looking forward to that. A topic that a lot of high schoolers have been discussing is the hat policy that is being considered and kind of piloted. I know a lot of students have been looking forward to having this policy for a long time. Headgear is kind of a form of style and self-expression, and so students are really looking forward to hearing more about that. The Student Senate plans to meet tomorrow to discuss further their new initiatives and further planning in terms of those. The brand new president, Kobe Everton, our current senior president, has been meeting with Dr. Perella along with a few other members to discuss cultural competency workshops and restorative justice in the classrooms and trying to get that implemented. It's coming up, March is coming up, which is kind of a season of college decisions and a lot of midterms, so students are kind of in the mood of patience right now and preparation, and that's the current status, I would say, of the student body. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Open it up for any public discussion. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Ms. Gravellisi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to move the upcoming field trips off of the consent calendar and bring them to the floor.
Okay. Okay. So we will move the field trips, which there are 4 listed,
Yes.
to the floor.
Yes, and I
Okay.
believe Ms. Rizzo will speak about them? Yes.
Okay, we'll take up a vote on the rest of the consent calendar. We'll take a roll call vote.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Ms. Ty? Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Mrs. Rizzo will now take up the 4 school field trips.
Although there's 4 field trips, 3 are in in succession if they win and move on. So I'm going to bulk the 3 of them together, but I wanted everyone to know what great jobs and great places they'll be going. It would be the Revere High School robotics team. The first one is May 6th to May 8th, and that's in Flanders, New Jersey. Second one would be the robotics team going to West Springfield, Mass., and that's April 8th to April 11th. And then the third one, and we know they'll make it to at least the third one. The robotics team will be going to Detroit, Michigan, and that would be March 28th to April 28th to May 3rd. That would have been a long trip.
Long trip in Detroit, of all
Yeah,
places.
yeah, not even a nice area. So can we do make a motion to accept that field trip?
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Ms. Ty? Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Mrs. Rizzo?
And the next one is always one that our students really enjoy also. It's the Revere High School Outdoors Club. They will be going to Cardigan Lodge, and those are campsites. I don't want to go on this field trip. I would have rather the Italy one last month. And so this would be in Alexandria, New Hampshire, in May 22nd to May 24th. And it's an opportunity for the students to not only camp, but they'll learn a lot about culinary experience for seniors and for the seniors. So motion to accept this student trip.
Second.
Motion, roll call.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti?
Yes.
Ms. Gravellisi?
Yes.
Ms. Ty? Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Next item is the report of subcommittees. Mrs. Rizzo.
Thank you. Policy Subcommittee met today at 2 p.m. at the mayor's office, and this was just to discuss the Revere High School hat policy. And I want to say that we acknowledge the fact that the student dress code needs updating to reflect our students of 2020. So we do want to be looking at that policy more. And when we do this, and we're hoping to get it done before April vacation, we'll be reaching out, Alea, I'll need your help, but we'll be reaching out to the students, parents, and even the teachers to get more information. But at this point, it is the recommendation of the Policy Subcommittee to end the pilot program at the end of the school year. So moved.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronston Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. D'Ambrosio?
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti? Yes. Ms. Grabellisi? Yes. Ms. Ty? Yes. Mayor Arrigo?
Yes. Okay. We'll move on to old business.
That was it?
Oh, that was it? Okay, new business. Any new business? Seeing none, we'll move on to school committee interest. Mr. D'Ambrosio.
I had one. After, a bit of a delay, we just wanted to extend our congratulations to Enrico Bonferdecchi for his awesome season with the men's soccer team. He scored 7 goals and received a number of commendations, so we just wanted to express our congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. D'Ambrosio. Enrico is a great young man, and we extend our congratulations to him. Ms. Ty.
Yes. Well, there seem to be a lot of people retiring now. I'm not one of them. But 2 people who have been in service to this city for so many years. I'll take them in alphabetical order because there is no way they are both superstars among the government world. And the first is George Anzoni. George has been the city treasurer ever since I can remember. It goes back to my old union days when he was so helpful, so competent, so caring about how the money was spent, how that it was spent not only with some liberality, although he's quite the conservative, but with a sense of justice in mind. He has always been one to whom we could go from the school department, from whom I got great advice when I was superintendent of schools. He is a wonderful, wonderful person, a good heart, a good soul. I was lucky enough to teach his 3 children who are equally wonderful, and I taught with his teacher at Revere, with his sister, who was a teacher at Revere High School. The Anzoni family has contributed to our city and to the success of our city absolutely remarkably. The second person is Rosalie Vincent, who isn't retiring quite yet, but who has announced her intent not to run for re-election. I've known Rosalie for years. I taught her husband my very first year teaching, and her sisters-in-law. I know them on a personal family basis, and they are fine, upright citizens. But I especially was always grateful to Rosalie when she was the aide to Billy Reinstein, because she was always quiet, but always dedicated to helping the school system. And then when she got to be elected herself and to serve there, she, along with Speaker DeLeo, always had the best interests of the schools and the children in mind. And there are not enough words to thank them all for what they have contributed, but just to know that they have the place in the hearts of everybody in this. And we wish them, we fondly wish them good luck, happiness in their retirement, and enjoyment in whatever they choose to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ty. Very well said. Mrs. Rizzo.
Well, since we're on retirements, and I know my colleagues will agree, And we normally do retirements at the end of the year, but this week will be the last week for, or is it already done? For our secretary in the superintendent's office, Elise Ferrara. And although she works for the superintendent's office, she has helped each and every one of us out more times than we can even count. She will be truly missed. She is a genuinely nice person, always with a smile, and she will be missed, but we are so happy that she's getting to retire and do what she wants to do. It's about time. So thank you, Elise, for everything you've done. The second thing I just wanted to bring up, we have 62 students that attend Shore Educational Collaborative. And if anyone doesn't realize, there are special education services with behaviorally and challenged students. This Thursday, from 3 to 6, there is an open house at the Crest Ave building. So if anyone wants to stop by and see the wonderful work that they do with our students and others, please stop by. It's a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rizzo. Any other members? Okay. Seeing none, the chair will entertain a, oh, no, we go motions. Any motions? Mrs. Rizzo? None? Okay. Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn with the understanding that we'll be back here on March 17th. Motion, okay. All in favor, all opposed? So moved. We are adjourned till March 17th.